I parked across the street. The porch light was on, the curtains drawn. The house looked lived in, decorated even. Thanksgiving garlands fluttered from the mailbox. There was a paper turkey taped to the front window, its edges curling under condensation. But the moment I stepped out, I knew something was off. The driveway held 3 cars. None of them were mine. I wasn't expected. I'd closed the $800 billion deal a week early, and all I could think about was how Mom would light up when she saw me. Her daughter home. I had imagined the moment on the plane. Thomas would shake his head in disbelief. Evelyn would cry. And Marcus, maybe he'd be surprised too. The thought felt sour now. But it wasn't the cars that stopped me cold. It was them, my parents, sitting on the porch swing, silent, together, not waiting, just existing in a stillness too loud for the neighborhood. Mom had her hands folded, but her sleeve had slipped. A faint blue-purple bruise curved around her wrist. She saw me approach and tugged it down, slow and mechanical. Her eyes darted once to the door, then to me. Mom. I said. Thomas stood, but didn't reach for me. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then stopped. He looked tired, older, like he'd spent the last few nights trying not to hear something, or forget what he had. I moved past them and went straight to the door. My key didn't fit. I tried again. Jiggle. Nothing. I turned to Thomas. Did someone change the locks? He looked at Evelyn, then shook his head. It's not, it's better if. But I wasn't listening anymore. I knocked. Louder. No answer. Then came the sound, laughter. Familiar. Confident. Marcus. I stepped down, moved toward the side window. The curtains had been tied in place. Through the glass, I saw warmth. Candles lit, plates full, wine poured. Marcus sat at the head of the table. Marlene and Victor, his parents, flanked him. Lila was there, her smile thin, not reaching her eyes. They were toasting. To what? I scanned the wall above the fireplace. The wedding photo was gone. In its place, a new one. Marcus's parents cutting a ribbon, smiling like royalty. I stepped back, wind catching a card at my feet. I picked it up. Congratulations to the Dellingers, it read in cursive. The dog, my dog, walked by the window. She looked toward the door, but didn't bark, didn't react. Reprogrammed, like everything else. I felt heat rise behind my ears, jaw tight. Marcus! I yelled. No response. No flicker. Just another laugh. A shadow crossed the kitchen. Then sirens. A patrol car pulled up. I expected support, maybe even recognition. But the officer stepped out slowly and called my name like it was an accusation. Ms. Hartford. Yes. We received a report of possible elder coercion. I need you to step aside. What? I blinked. I live here. He pulled out a tablet. This complaint was filed by a Marcus Dellinger. Claims of mental distress, financial intimidation. Ma'am, we need to ask a few questions. Thomas stood. That's not. Sir, please return to your seat. The officer's tone wasn't unkind, but final. Evelyn looked at me then. Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. I saw it then, this had been planned. Carefully. Timed to the hour. I didn't speak. Words wouldn't undo it. If someone called the police on you at your own home, I thought, how would you prove it still belonged to you? The door creaked behind me. Marcus's voice, calm and rehearsed. He'll understand. He always forgives. He wasn't talking to me. Evelyn broke then, whispering. You don't know they've already, before Thomas squeezed her hand. That was enough. I turned, walked to the car, opened the trunk. Inside a single box, labeled neatly, legally, Kelman Law, Originals. My line in the sand. 2 days after Thanksgiving, I sat cross-legged on the floor of a rental I'd booked under my maiden name. The place smelled like peeled paint and lemon disinfectant. One overhead light buzzed softly, flickering every few minutes like it, too, was trying to forget what it had seen. Scattered before me were legal folders, some frayed, some crisp, records of a life built with precision. My fingers grazed the lockbox. Inside, everything was supposed to be in order. Except it wasn't. The property deed bore my name. But the signature? Not mine. It was a forgery that looked too close. Not exact, but practiced, deliberate. As if someone had watched me sign it 100 times and tried to replicate the rhythm. Not just the stroke. I called Noah. He answered on the second ring. Still like midnight calls, huh? Noah, I need verification fast. I sent the scan file. Minutes passed. When his voice came back, it was clipped. This isn't your pen stroke, Aurelia. That's not your digital key either. They spoofed it. Someone's been working on this for years. My stomach didn't drop. It calcified. If someone rewrote your name on your life's work, I said aloud, would you fight quietly or burn the house down? Noah exhaled. They've been playing a long game. I replied, so have I. I just didn't know it until now. We met that night in a diner with greasy windows and an all-night waitress who didn't care who we were. We ordered coffee neither of us touched. Noah slid his laptop across the table. Victor Dellinger's personal accounts don't match his declared income. There's movement, quiet, round figures offshore, shells inside of shells. We're seeing a pattern. He was always good at patterns. That's why I trusted him. They didn't just steal my home, I said. They used me as collateral. He nodded. They're covering tracks, like someone expects a flood. I looked him dead in the eye. This stays off record. Vivian's on the board of 3 outlets. Half the press leans their way. I smiled. It didn't reach anywhere. Good. Let them think I'm quiet. People underestimate what they can't hear coming. The next morning, I didn't wake up to light. I woke up to noise. My phone was vibrating, screen lit with news notifications. I tapped one. There she was, Vivian, hair coiled, pearls immaculate. The press conference backdrop was branded with their law firm's name. She's always been intense, Vivian said to the cameras. Brilliant, yes. But brilliance without stability? That's danger. Another clip rolled. Me at a gala, years ago, glassy-eyed from exhaustion, looped again and again. She's unfit to manage major assets, Vivian continued. We had to step in for her safety. I watched myself unravel on screen, edited into something unrecognizable. Then my phone rang. Mom. I answered. Evelyn's voice shook. They said you hurt your father, that you threatened him if he didn't sign. They said a lot of things, Mom. I cut in. That doesn't make them true. I ended the call. Would you stay silent if the world believed a lie? Or would you let silence do the talking? That evening a knock came. I opened the blinds just enough. 2 officers. Unmarked car. Evelyn stood behind them, hands clasped, face drained. Noah called before they knocked again. They filed charges against her. Elder abuse. Illegal confinement. They're not just erasing me, I murmured. They're redacting my whole family. Stay out of it, he warned. You go near her, they'll spin it into something new. From the window, I watched as they led Evelyn down the steps. She looked up once. Her lips moved. "I'm sorry." I didn't wave. I turned to my desk, opened my journal, and wrote one sentence. They wanted to erase my name. They forgot I'm the one who taught them how ink works. It wasn't rage. It was math. Late that night, I replayed audio from an old boardroom strategy session. In the background, faint but unmistakable, Marcus's voice authorized a signature push. He shouldn't have been there. Noah confirmed it. They layered the file. That's his voice. Time-stamped before the transfer went through. He planted the authorization. I looked at the monitor. The waveform danced like truth waiting to be played. I created a folder. Named it Truth. No flourish. No vengeance. Just precision. You don't fight fire with fire, I told Noah over cold coffee. You fight it with evidence. I would not scream. I would build. And when it was time, the silence would speak. Sometimes the loudest revenge is the one that ends in paperwork. We sat in Harper's studio, the windows fogged from too much coffee and not enough sleep. I hadn't changed clothes in 24 hours. It didn't matter. My voice was steady. My hands calm. On the screen before us, Noah scrubbed through the files one last time. A clip stood out, Victor's voice clear, unmistakable. The signature doesn't need to match perfectly. We control the verification protocol. Marcus responded with a laugh, low and smug. She'll be too focused on numbers to notice. That's the beauty. It was clean, sharp, undeniable. This is the one, Harper said. We streamed this during the gala. No warning. Midway through Vivian's keynote. The feed will autoplay on every mirror site we've seeded. I stared at the waveform. I won't yell, I told them. Not a single raised tone. This isn't vengeance, I said again, slower this time. It's setting the balance right. Harper leaned forward. Have you ever held the truth in your hands, knowing it could ruin lives, but might save your soul? I didn't blink. Yes. The Dellinger Foundation Gala sparkled like every fabricated dream does. Glass chandeliers, polished shoes, forced grins. Vivian stood beneath a golden archway of LED screens, dressed in ocean blue silk, speaking in elegant loops about legacy, innovation, philanthropy. Words that meant less the more she used them. I moved quietly, dressed in charcoal black. Harper handed me the switchboard just before the cue. I waited behind the stage, unseen, forgotten. Then the screen flickered. Once, twice, and then. We control the verification protocol. Victor's voice blared across the ballroom, replaying the precise manipulation. Then Marcus laughing. Gasps echoed first. A dropped champagne flute. Phones raised. A tremor moved through the crowd like an electric pulse. Marcus stood, mouth parting to speak, but the press cameras snapped faster than he could lie. Victor sank into a nearby chair. Marlene gripped his arm and yanked him upright. Rage twisted her face, but not surprise. Vivian didn't say a word. Her expression cracked, but only slightly, like porcelain beginning to shatter from the inside out. I watched from the wings. My hands didn't shake. They always underestimated silence until it screamed, I whispered to myself. 3 days later, I found 2 envelopes in my mailbox. The first was from Evelyn. Her handwriting was delicate, uneven. Time and guilt had made her small. I knew, she wrote. Not everything, but enough. I thought if I didn't speak, it would pass. I thought keeping the name meant keeping the family. Then, you never stopped fighting. That's how I know you'll survive this. even if I didn't deserve to witness it. I folded the letter, placed it gently inside the truth box. The second envelope came from county jail. Vivian. She didn't waste words. My father started it. I just kept it going. I wanted Marcus protected. I wanted you out of the way. That's all. No apology. No regret. But truth nonetheless. I added hers to the box too. What do we owe those who hurt us? If not silence, then what? I didn't move back into the house. I sold it. Every cent went to a non-profit that housed and protected survivors of elder coercion. One evening, I visited a local shelter where they were launching a new expansion wing. A girl stood in the hallway, quiet, too thin for her age, eyes too old. I saw Lila in her. Not my sister, just the version of myself that had once wanted someone to turn on a light and mean it. I handed her a small envelope. Inside, the house key. Old. Heavy. Sometimes home needs a new story, I told her. Later that night, from the window of my apartment across town, I looked toward the hill. A faint glow flickered. The porch light at the Hartford residence, on for the first time in years. It steadied after a few moments. I never wanted revenge, I whispered. I just wanted light again. Then my phone buzzed. Harper. Her voice was tight. Someone's trying to suppress the archive. You might want to come see this. And just like that, I realized the silence wasn't over. It was changing pitch.